Comrades, brothers and sisters from the NTUC, fellow Singaporeans. This year, we have been commemorating the PAP's diamond anniversary, 60 years. And this rally marks the end of the commemoration and the start of a new phase for the PAP. A month ago, we held a rally at the PAP's birthplace, the Victoria Memorial Hall, now called the Victoria Concert Hall. It was there in the VMH in November 1954 that Mr. Lee Kuan Yew launched the new party. So we went back to the same place, the same hall, to remember our roots and to reflect on our journey. We recalled how the PAP brought Singapore from the third world to the first, how we fought for independence from our colonial masters, how we fought for our vision of a democratic, non-communist Singapore against the communists, how we fought for a multiracial, multi-religious society and nation against the communalists and extremists, the ultras, while we were in Malaysia, how we fought to build a strong nation after separation against all odds. And we will continue fighting. We promised ourselves we will continue fighting for the security, the well-being, and the future of Singapore. We reminded ourselves that no matter what the odds or the circumstances, the PAP has always been on the side of Singapore, on the side of Singaporeans. And it will always remain so. We also honored our pioneers and remembered their sacrifices. We were very happy that some who had attended that very first rally in 1954 came back 60 years later to celebrate the milestone with us, with their successors, with the people who owed so much to them. And in particular, we were all most happy that our founding Secretary General, Mr. Lee Kuan Yew, was there to be congratulated and honored by the party comrades. Two weeks ago, we held a party awards dinner here at the Singapore Expo. We celebrated our current activists. You who serve Singaporeans day in, day out, you who rally the support of the people and secure the mandate for the PAP to serve. You who will take the PAP and Singapore forward. I was very glad to see a good mix of members, old and young, all in good spirits, enjoying the evening. Today, we held a party conference. Besides electing a new CEC, we also amended Article 2 of the party constitution, which defines the objectives of the PAP. It is the raison d'etre of the PAP, the reason why the party exists. It's why each of us joined the party. It's where the party will lead Singapore. Amending the party's objectives is a serious matter. Article 2 has only been amended once before, in 1982, since the party was founded. At that time, Mr. Goh Chok Tong was First Assistant Secretary General and First Organizing Secretary. He was First Organizing Secretary. He updated it because the original objective of the party, independence from the colonialists and merger with Malaya, was no longer valid, had long been achieved, and it was not our mission anymore. But 1982 is one generation ago, more than 30 years. And since then, Singapore has undergone enormous changes. We've progressed and prospered. Our society has changed. Many problems have been solved, but new challenges have arisen. And the PAP has adapted to the times while staying true to our promise to improve the lives of Singaporeans. Over the last decade, we've made a strategic shift in our approach. We've changed the way that we govern. to involve people in the decisions which affect their lives more, to encourage community initiatives, to get people to get together to solve problems without waiting for the government, to engage Singaporeans more, including on the social media. We've strengthened social safety nets in healthcare, through workfare, for retirement. We've increased support for lower-income Singaporeans, especially the children. Individuals still work hard and have to be self-reliant and responsible for themselves and their families. It has to be. But the government and the community are doing more to support them. And this is what we mean by our new way forward. So at last year's party convention, we adopted a resolution setting out the key ideas in this new way forward. And now we've crystallized them in a revised Article 2 of the Constitution, which we formally adopted at the party conference earlier this morning. This is the PAP's vision for Singapore, that we will build a nation of opportunity, that we will uphold a fair and just society, and that we will nurture a democracy of deeds. I reduce it to 3 bull points. That's the key essence of what we're trying to do. And let me explain this briefly to you. Firstly, we'll be a nation of opportunity, and that means opportunity for all Singaporeans, not just the privileged few. It means doing our best to support those who have less and to bring everyone to a good starting point in life. It means an open and a compassionate meritocracy. Success, rewards will depend on your ability, depend on your contributions. But everyone must have a chance to prove yourself, and even those who did less well must get something. To create opportunities, we must continue to do 2 things. First, we've got to grow and upgrade the economy so that we have good and fulfilling jobs for everybody. And secondly, we have to emphasize the importance of education, training. I won't talk about the economy today. I've talked about it many times. Today, I just want to talk about education. To give you a sense of what we are doing, we invest heavily in our kids, year after year. They are our future. And every National Day rally, almost, I spend a lot of time talking about education. And everybody listens anxiously. What is going to change? Schools next year, universities next year, ITE, post-secondary, adults. How do we get education? We will continue to do more in education because we want to uphold social mobility, because that's the way for people to move up. That's the way to prevent our society from becoming stratified. And we're doing it at all levels. Early childhood education, in schools, post-secondary, university, at work. Preschool is important because we want to start early. Make sure that in the critical years, when the child is very young, he gets the best possible start. And we are doing that as a government, but also as a party. The PAP has the PCF. NTUC has NTUC First Campus. And we've both upgraded our kindergartens, our childcare centers, building more, making sure that every family can afford good childcare and preschool. In schools, we're making every school a good school. Good teachers, lots of resources, open admissions so that there's no school which is closed and you have no chance to get in at all. Post-school, nearly every student goes into ITE, poly, university, post-secondary education. In fact, 95% now make it beyond secondary education. And for university places, over the last 10 years, the number of places has gone up more than half. There was 9,000 places for Singaporeans 10 years ago. Last year, 15,000 places. 15,000 of our kids go to university every year. So we have a good education system, and it's not just the basics, but we have the chance to give people more than the basics, so that you have the enhancements, the enrichments, the opportunity even to travel a little bit and see the world. Every time I go to a new place, I find there are Singapore students there. I went to Poland. I got a message on my Facebook. We are Singapore students, exchange visit from SMU in Poland, in Warsaw. Can we see you? I was very happy to see them. I went to Milan recently for Asia-Europe meeting. Ran into some kids. Said, we're exchange students. I said, why are you exchange students in Milan? He said, no, we're not exchanging in Milan. We exchange in Norway or Finland, and we took a train down for a holiday. Next week, I'm going to Busan in Korea. Before I go there, I got an email, I got a message, Facebook. We are exchange students in Busan. Can we see you when you are there? So I'm going to see them when I'm there. And I hope they see me when they come back too. So we are providing the opportunities, the exposure, the chance to measure yourself against the best in the world and come back and say, I have confidence. I'm equal to them. And my system is equal to them, and Singapore, we're as good as them. Only in Singapore. Beyond the schools, beyond the ITEs and polys and universities, DPM Taman is leading the Skills Future effort. And what we are trying to do is nothing less than a cultural transformation in our society, in our workplace, so that people can continue to be educated and to upgrade themselves after they've left school, after they've started work. And we value them and honor them and work with them on the basis of their skills and their contributions, and not just look at academic results. And then we can create multiple paths to success. This is a place where children can dream big, achieve their aspirations, live well for Singapore. And many people do that. Maybe we don't talk about it enough, but I think we should talk about it more, because I know that many young people are anxious for their future. Many parents are worried for their children's future. Will the children have a better life than ourselves? My answer is yes. And it's not an argument which I'm offering you. I'm offering you examples, visible proof. Take, for example, Comrade Muhammad Faisal, who is from Taman Jurong branch. I think he's here somewhere. His father, hello Faisal. His father was a policeman, the mother was a housewife. The family led a simple and hard-working life, just 2 meals a day. Faisal is a PCF alumnus, Geylang East PCF. So the PAP gave him a good start. He studied hard, he went to school. In secondary school, he had no money for the O-level exam fees. He had to borrow money for the exam fees. But he did well. He went to NUS, he did well. He went to NTU, earned his master's. And now he is giving back readily. At the age of 34, he became a mosque chairman. Not much gray hair, but I think a lot of life experience. And now he's volunteering in the grassroots, serving on the CPF advisory panel. There are many more stories like Faisal, and it is a story of Singapore, a nation of opportunity. Secondly, we will uphold a fair and just society. That is a goal, it's a principle, it's a commitment that has always been fundamental to our party. It's the reason why the old guard went into politics 60 years ago. It's the reason I took the plunge 30 years ago when Comrade Goh Chok Tong asked me to dive in. And it is the reason why, in the last 50 years that we've been in government, the PAP has never ceased to strive for good housing, healthcare, and education for every Singaporean, and especially for the poor and the middle income. But the ideal of a fair and just society now faces headwinds. It's harder now, because our workers are meeting global competition. It's intense. Technology is making some jobs redundant. There are new jobs, but the old workers may not have the skills to do them yet. Our economy is maturing. Our population is aging. So our income inequality has been rising, like in many other countries. And that's why our new way forward emphasizes leveling up the lower income and sharing risks through stronger social safety nets. We introduced ComCare 10 years ago to ease the burden of those who have fallen on hard times and help them get back on their feet. We introduced Workfare and the progressive wage model to top up and to raise the earnings of lower wage workers. We increased housing subsidies, targeting them at the lower income. And today, if you look at the poorest households, let's look at the bottom 1/5 of our households, even they, almost all of them, own their HDB flats. 80% of them own their own homes. And because they own a HDB flat, they have a substantial nest egg when they retire. It happens nowhere else, only in PAP Singapore. This year, we had the Pioneer Generation Package to honor our pioneers and ease the burden of health care on them and also on their children. Because we believe that in Singapore, we remember our forebears who did so much for us. And we believe that in Singapore, nobody should face life's uncertainties and problems alone. But we know that a fair and just society is always work in progress. We will never have finished doing this. And that's why we introduced MediShield Life, which will provide better health coverage for life and for all. That's why this year's NDR, I introduced the Silver Support Bonus to complement the CPF, to give low-income workers a basic sum every month to help them in their old age. And that is a fair and just society. Thirdly, we must nurture a democracy of deeds. Several of the speakers mentioned this just now, including Cynthia, and so did the party chairman. It's a phrase from Comrade Rajaratnam, is a phrase which resonates even today. We are the People's Action Party. We not only stand for action for the people, but also action by the people. And there are two aspects of democracy of deeds. Firstly, if the government is to help you, if the state is to help you, you have first to help yourself. Social support is stronger, but people still have to work hard, upgrade, and give it all you've got. Each of us owes it to ourselves and to the people supporting us. Hard work and self-reliance are our core values, and we make no apologies for this. It reflects the deepest values in all our cultures, whether you're Chinese, whether you're Malay, whether you're Indian, whether you're Eurasian. Hard work, self-reliance, it's critical. That's what's helped us to survive for so many years. Secondly, from a social and wider level, a democracy of deeds means you must act, you cannot just talk. We've got to come together, participate in community life together, solve problems together. So it means engagement is not NATO. No action, talk only. It means People's Action Party, you act. You do what you can. and then the government will see what it can do to help. You can't leave everything to the government. Individuals have to take the initiative, organize yourselves, pass the hat around, get things done. And I'm very encouraged that many Singaporeans are doing this in neighborhood watch patrols, spotting suspicious characters, deterring loan sharks, volunteering in VWOs, helping people with disabilities, or tutoring children from less privileged families. So I ask all Singaporeans, step up and be counted. We will engage Singaporeans in deciding on the future we want, as we did with our Singapore Conversation and many other consultation exercises for major policies. We will create opportunities for groups to do something with others and for others. Like the nature enthusiasts who are working in Pulau Ubin, I spent a Sunday morning with them last week and saw their enthusiasm and passion. Or the rail corridor, which we will get started soon and will be another great opportunity for activists and passionate nature lovers to participate and contribute. Our society is becoming more diverse, but far more things unite us than divide us. So if all Singaporeans can work together, participate in shaping our future, then we will have a democracy of deeds. One important way you can engage constructively, of course, is to wear white and white. Join the PAP. And I'm glad to report that in the party, the spirit of service is alive and well. Thousands of volunteers work hard week after week in their constituencies, attending to residents at MPSs late into the night, doing community work, helping residents to clean their homes when they're old folks and unable to take care of themselves, taking them on outings, organizing activities, solving problems. You saw the little video just now. It's a sampling of the many things which we do, which our activists do. For this PAP60 anniversary, hundreds of activists have been involved, planning, organizing, carrying out PAP60 events. We gathered this morning. Everything is arranged. There are ushers, there are seats, there are arrangements. At the right moment, the balls appear for us to have a community, an activity together. They didn't just appear out of nowhere. Somebody thought about it, arranged it, planned it. Our activists worked very hard to make sure it happened at the right moment. The Party Policy Forum, PPF, has walked the talk, engaging Singaporeans, contributing ideas to the party, including in the process which led up to the constitutional amendments. So thank you all, comrades, for your contributions. Article 2, the new Article 2, sets out the PAP's promise to Singaporeans and our vision for Singapore. A nation of opportunity, a fair and just society, a democracy of deeds. Our promise and our vision will guide our journey forward. We must also be clear who we are as a party. And I would boil it down to 3 points which you can remember. 1, we must be a national party. 2, we must be a responsible party. And thirdly, we must be a party of courage and conviction. First of all, we have to be a national party for all Singaporeans. It's not always the way parties are organized. In fact, very frequently it's different. In many countries, the political parties represent factional interests. It may represent an ethnic group, it may represent a regional group, it may represent a social class. In Britain, the Labour Party represents mainly the working class. The Conservatives represent the more successful people in life, the upper classes. In India, politics is very regional. Congress actually has friends and depends on friends all over India. In Tamil, you have the Tamil parties, Tamil Nadu. In Uttar Pradesh, you have different parties. In Andhra Pradesh, you have different parties. In fact, the parties split on regional grounds, they split on language grounds, and sometimes because the parties are split, the states have to split. So one Andhra Pradesh has now become two states, Andhra Pradesh and the Telangana, because some groups speak Telugu, some groups don't. The parties are organized like that. But in Singapore, the PAP, we are different. We are a national party, we are an inclusive party, we look after the interests of a broad range of Singaporeans. We have one special symbiotic relationship with the labor movement, the NTUC. And therefore, I'm very happy to see our NTUC brothers and sisters here today. Come, stand up, take a bow. Our links with them go back right to the very beginning, because Mr. Lee Kuan Yew had represented the Postmen's Union in their strike in February 1952 and won their confidence and trust. And so when he launched the PAP 2 years later, the unions were firmly with him. And amongst the conveners, the first CEC, there were union representatives from the Postmen's Union, as well as others. Therefore, the PAP must continue to champion the interests of workers. And with tripartism in Singapore, workers, employers, and the government can work together for our common interests, for growth, for prosperity, for the progress of our nation. So the PAP must also look after other segments of society, the professionals, the employers, the young and the old, the housewives, as well as the working people, people of all races, languages, and religions. We will work together, and that is the way we will solve our problems. We have to be fair to all groups. We balance each group's interests against the others, and we do what is best for Singapore. Therefore, the party pledge says, regardless of race, language, or religion. Where did those words come from? They come from the National Pledge, which also says, regardless of race, language, or religion. And the National Pledge was first proposed by Comrade Ong Pang Boon, who was our first organizing secretary, drafted by Comrade S. Rajaratnam, who was our founding visionary, and polished and settled by Comrade Lee Kuan Yew, our founding SecGen. So it's a pledge drafted by the PAP leaders because we believed in it. And it expresses these ideals of inclusiveness, of unity of all Singaporeans, making a common cause as we sail our little ship into the future. This rally marks the PAP's 60th anniversary. So I think it's appropriate that at the end of this rally, we recite the National Pledge together. We started today, this morning, the party conference with a party pledge. We finished the rally, we recite the National Pledge. Remind ourselves that the PAP will always be a national party, a national movement, a movement for all Singaporeans. And then we can have the party cheer. So first of all, the PAP will be a national party. Secondly, we will be a responsible party. I said in Chinese, 说得到,做得到. We don't make empty promises. We deliver on what we say. When other people say first world parliament, you don't know what it means. When we say first world nation, here we are. When we spend, we make sure we can afford what we propose to spend. We attend to immediate and pressing problems, but we have to think long-term for Singapore. We spend money when it's justified, but we don't mortgage our children's future to win votes. Take the PG package. It would have been so easy for us to claim the credit now, the warmth, the thanks, the gratitude, leave our children to put the bill in future. We didn't do that. We set aside the full cost, $8 billion in the budget, so that when the time comes, our seniors can be sure that they will get the benefits and really get the PGP, and so that when the time comes, our children will not be burdened and they won't curse their parents. When we face problems, we acknowledge them publicly and deal with them. We don't pretend there's no problem, no comment, studying the matter, thinking about it. We'll clarify one day. We settle now. If we lie low, you lie low, hoping the public will forget the issue and the issue will go away, the public will forget you and you might as well go away. Because we are the People's Action Party. And we have a responsibility. We owe a responsibility to the people to be honest, to be transparent, to be accountable. In fact, it is our responsibility to set the standard that other political parties in Singapore should be measured by and should aim for. I can't tell them what they should aim for, but I can tell you that is how you should measure who is up to the mark and who falls short. And we have to set that mark. Thirdly, the party has to act with courage and conviction. In a democracy of deeds, we seek the best ideas. We debate issues widely. We take all views, consider many options. Then, having settled, we must act, and act with courage and with conviction. We have to be confident in what we believe in. We have to be courageous to stand up, to defend our ideas, to do the right things for Singaporeans. And we will persuade Singaporeans to support us. Some will disagree with us. They may offer alternatives. We will consider them carefully. And if they make sense for Singapore, we will accept them. Others will oppose us, not because they disagree with what we are doing or saying or proposing, but just to cause trouble, get us out, get in, take charge, and then God knows what. And some will flame us. As Comrade Cynthia says, you must expect to be flamed, but have no fear, you are not being flamed alone. This is democracy. People are entitled to try. It's the way the system works, or is supposed to work. But for democracy really truly to work in Singapore, the PAP also must fight, and fight to win the battle. Because if the other side fights and we sit down and we are good guys and nice and friendly to everybody, I think we deserve to lose. We are friendly, yes. To win, we must fight for what we believe in. And if you get flamed, so what? I have the thickest skin in town. And if you are doing the right thing, if 10,000 people go against you, proceed. We are charging in the right direction. We have a duty to renew ourselves, to build a leadership for Singapore, and to provide a leadership for Singapore to take the country forward. Because our responsibility is not just to lead the country well now, but to ensure that Singapore will be led competently well into the future. And that is why at every election we bring in new MPs, new ministers, reinforce the party leadership. In 2011, we brought in 22 new MPs, and several have become office holders. Heng Swee Keat, Chan Chun Sing, Lawrence, Tan Chuan Jin, Sim Ann, Desmond, Low Yen Ling. Maybe if I've missed out anybody, please forgive me. It doesn't mean anything. I've promoted several backbenchers too, like Indrani, Lam Pin Min, Faisal Ibrahim. They are learning fast on the job. Already doing a lot of the work. I think a lot of the running around for this rally and this conference has been done by the young ones. I think Chun Sing as OS has been busy. I don't know about sleepless, but certainly busy. Lawrence has also been involved. I think you can see from the results the team is performing well. We will reinforce the team further in the next general election. We've already identified many promising candidates, including a few potential office holders, some from the private sector, some in the government, quite a number from the activists, from the grassroots, men, women, different age groups, different races, a good representation of Singapore and the way Singapore's leadership should be. Of course, the elections are still a little bit off yet, and we have not stopped and will never stop looking for good men and women who can join us. So after the next general election, with the support of the voters, I will have a renewed, strengthened, and more seasoned team of MPs and of ministers. And whoever will succeed me as SecGen and PM will most likely be amongst the MPs, PAP MPs, elected in the next general election. Whoever he is, we don't know who it is yet. He will not have the luxury of spending 20 years in politics before becoming PM, as I did. I don't think he will have the luxury of spending 14 years in politics before becoming PM, as Comrade Goh Chok Tong did. But we were in a very lucky position, and that is not something which you can plan for the future. Well before the end of the next term, I'm confident we'll have a younger, passionate, and capable team ready to take over the reins. When they do it, we have the choice, but to have the team ready anytime we need them, I'm confident we will do it. I'm determined we must do it. And I ask you, give the team your support so that Singapore can progress, prosper, and thrive into the future. This will very likely be the last party conference before the general elections, because the next general elections must be held at the latest by January 2017. And the next general election is going to be a deadly serious fight. It will be about who forms the government, not how many seats the opposition gets. It will be about whether we continue to have a first world government, not about a so-called first world parliament. Every seat, every GRC, every SMC will be contested. Every seat, every contest will be a national contest, not a local one. Every seat is a general election, not a by-election. There are different voices now, louder voices in our society, and especially in the social media. Some mean well, and we have to engage them, persuade them to make common cause with us. Others try to mislead voters, and they will lead Singapore into trouble. And those we have to counter, expose, and defeat. The PAP must do that because only the PAP can bring all the different groups together. Only the PAP is solving problems, planning for the future. Only the PAP is putting forth a vision, a roadmap for Singapore. In short, only the PAP truly cares for the people and for the future of our children and our grandchildren. No other party does that or does that better than the PAP. The opposition doesn't see any duty to bring people together, solve problems, plan for the future. Far from it. The fewer the problems, the worse their prospects. 唯恐天下不乱. The only fear is that there is no turmoil under heavens. So every time we put out a popular policy, they say, do more. They don't say how. They don't say money from where. They don't say whom they are going to take from in order to give more. And there's no vision because they say they can't form the government, no need for vision. In fact, they daren't say that. Not because they can't form the government, but because they are trying to avoid answering hard questions until well after they get elected, and maybe even after then, they will waffle. Meanwhile, they tell the people, vote for me so that I can check their PAP. I can make the PM and his ministers work harder. If everybody accepts what they say, then we'll have a lot of checkers, we'll have no workers. And if politicians spend all their time checking one another, check, 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 it'll be gridlock like in other countries. There's no way you can run away from the truth. There are so many seats in Parliament, that's all. For every one more checker you have in Parliament, there'll be one fewer doer, thinker, or leader in the government to serve the nation, to serve the people. And eventually there'll be no more PAP to check. There'll be no able team of ministers working and solving problems for Singapore, no progress for Singapore, no future for Singapore. And that will be the last check, because it will be checkmate for Singapore. So a great deal is at stake, comrades. Our future is at stake, because if we don't remain a nation of opportunity, our children will have no future. Our society is at stake, because if we don't uphold a fair and just society, our society will be pulled apart. Our country is at stake, because if the PAP fails, Singapore is in deep trouble. We shall not fail. So the next general election is critical for Singapore and for us. It's not just about expressing approval or disapproval. It's not just about winning a seat in Parliament. It is not a by-election. The next general election is about choosing a clear vision for Singapore, choosing a capable leadership for Singapore, choosing a brighter future for Singapore. So, comrades, we must fight. Fight for what we believe in, fight for the hearts and minds of Singaporeans, fight to win every seat and vote to be given to win the mandate to serve Singapore. And in every constituency, we must fight to win. Aljunied, Hougang, Punggol East are raring to go, and as you heard them earlier, in good heart. Our activists there are busy working the ground. I visited them in June, and they gave me a rousing welcome, and so did the thousands of residents whom I met. I thought it was a good visit. I hope Low Tia Kiang and Sylvia Lim agree too. The PAP will do our best to win these opposition constituencies back. It may take some time, but we will not give up trying, and one day we will succeed. You look at Potong Pasir, Sito Yipin. He tried again. He succeeded. He won it back. And you can be sure he's not planning on 100-something votes of majority the next time, because he's been working hard and making sure that people know that he's doing good work for them. So, whether you're in the opposition, whether you're the PAP in an opposition or a PAP constituency, every constituency counts, every vote counts, every Singaporean matters. So stand up and be counted. We depend on you, comrades, to keep us close to the ground. We depend on you to speak up for the party. We depend on you to win the hearts and minds of Singaporeans. We must win the election convincingly, with a strong mandate from the people to take Singapore forward. Get ready. You've been preparing yourselves for at least the last 3 years, and in nearly all cases, much longer. Go out, talk to your families, your friends, your colleagues, your residents. Convince them the PAP's vision is the best for Singapore. Support the PAP for their own sake, for their children's sake. This is the PAP's duty, to serve Singapore for all Singaporeans. So we will end this rally today with a national pledge and then the party cheer. We are striving for Singapore, so we need the PAP to win so that Singapore can win. Then we can lead Singapore forward together toward a brighter tomorrow. Thank you very much.